What's up, YouTube? Midwest 2 Review here, back again. As you guys can see, I've got some impacts. I don't think I'm gonna keep this in the tripod, but I've got some impact guns up here, and I got a question today from a subscriber, Oscar Romero. Is his name? And he asked me. He says, he suggested. He says, "Why don't you make a video about some of the impact guns that you use and why?" And I thought, oh, that's a good subject. So this is a video for Oscar and anyone else that would fall in this category. So I'm speaking primarily to a DIY or weekend mechanic or whatever you want to call them, not to a professional mechanic, because those guys are going to know already what they should buy and why and their level of use, etc. Right? They're going to know. It's who I go to when I'm trying to determine what I should buy and making that justification, because we all know that these tools are not cheap. And if anyone looks at my setup, you'll see there's a lot of money here. Not necessarily that I invested all of this money, but there's a lot of value, or rather, I should say value versus money. There's a lot of value here in what I have. But that being said, making that decision, that conscious decision as a DIYer is important, and understanding how much do you want to spend, number one. Number two, what do you need from the tool, right? So are you going to work really, really hard, do a lot of projects on the weekends or whatever, or after work hours? Are you building a home project? Are you rebuilding a car or a truck, equipment, etc.? Because just because you're not a professional mechanic doesn't mean you don't get your hands dirty. I think that's a big misconception in this particular community. Personally, myself, I do just as much work on my weekends and my time off as I do in my Monday through Friday gig. And so with that, I want tools that work really hard. I want things that's gonna last, that are proven. And I look to the professional mechanics out there, the Justin Dowells, the Clay Coons, those guys who are putting their tools through the works, and say, okay, what are they using and why are they using them? So that's enough of that. So for DIYs, this is what I'm looking at here. Got a variety of them. I'm going to talk to each one of them specifically, and you guys decide from there. The first one I'm going to talk about is this Kobalt. This is a Kobalt brushless. It is the 24 volt max system. It came with, if I can see here, if I can grab it, may have to excuse me here. I think it's a 4 amp. He has a 4 amp battery that it came with, and it wasn't very much. I think I got this one on a special. So, but I think it was less than $100, maybe somewhere around there, maybe a little. No, I think it's a little bit more. But nonetheless, this is a great gun. And for a DIY, I would say this is a really strong recommendation. Now, I know there's been some channels out there. I believe Coon Trucking has actually done a video on the Kobalt system, and I think he did give it his seal of approval. Hopefully, I'm not misspeaking there or making a mistake there, but I think he did give it his seal of approval. And the reason why I like this gun is because I've rebuilt suspensions using this gun. Some of your larger bolts, you're talking your 13/16s or your 19 mils, 22 mils, 24 mils, depending on how hard they're torqued on. This gun can just about do the work. Now, it can't do everything, right? So you're talking about excessively rusted or bolts that have been on for a long or extended period of time. This will be taxed out and it can't do the job. I think it's somewhere just shy of like 200 foot-pounds or something like that. I'm not 100% certain now. I've had it for a long time. But for most jobs, this is, some people will say, oh, that's a under the hood type gun. No, this is a little bit more powerful than that. This can do all your brake systems and all of that. It can do, changing out rotors, calipers, sway bar links, things of that nature. This is especially set up for that. This is not especially, but this is a good system and a good tool for doing those types of jobs. The size of it is good. The power to weight ratio is excellent. The battery's a little bit big, but overall, this is a really, really nice gun. And it is brushless, right? So it's going to last. The speed on it is fairly decent on there, somewhere around 2,300 RPM, which is really good. So typically the higher up in RPM you go, I think the lower power you get. So it's kind of like that trade-off, but this is a good balance of a gun. The next gun I'm going to talk about is going to be, let's go with this Milwaukee M12 stubby. The Milwaukee's kind of, if you have these two guns here, you're pretty good as a DIY. And the reason why I say that, now this is purely my opinion, right? Everyone has their own opinion, and you know, they're like buttholes and they all stink. So it is what it is, right? But this particular one, I like the M12 because where this lacks, this picks up for me. I've done a lot of suspension work, and I always refer back to suspension because that's where, in the Midwest, that's where it counts, right? Because our brine that we put down on our roads, the salt, and all of the other environmental issues that we experience here in the Midwest are very, very hard on vehicles, right? So you don't, like out west, you know, where things aren't rusting like that or at the same rate, you know, you may be to do a lot more with this gun. But in the Midwest, where things are like right now, it's in the single digits, a 40-mile-per-hour wind chill, ice roads, etc., brine everywhere, salt everywhere, you know. So and they don't do anything special for underneath the cars these days, right? So you need power when you're going to be replacing components and parts and suspension pieces and things of that nature. Hell, some of your brakes, I mean, you'd be surprised at how hard it is to remove calipers and rotors off of an F-150 or a Dodge Ram here in the Midwest compared to the West Coast. East Coast is the same way as it is here. But yeah, the M12 is really like the big brother. It replaces, and this is a good combination because the money, the price point, you know, you're not spending, you know, for these two guns here, I think is probably around $300, somewhere around about there. And this is going to be a great setup. And the M12 has all the power that the Milwaukee 24-volt brushless does not. And you get yourself a good battery. So it comes with like a 2-amp battery or something like that. If you get yourself like the 4-amp battery, which I have a ton of them up here. Let's see if I can grab one out. You get yourself one of these here, these lithium batteries. I think this is a 4-amp one. I don't even know, it doesn't say. What does that say? That's a 3-amp. That's a 3-amp. I got a 4-amp somewhere. Let's see here. I got a couple of them sitting up here. This is what, the 1.5 amp, and that's one for the 90-degree. What is this guy here? This guy is is this another 3-amp? 3-amp. Okay, so maybe I don't have a 4-amp. And maybe I don't. I thought I had a 4-amp somewhere. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing a battery. I don't know. But you get yourself a big enough battery. This gun is great. This gun will do it for you. And in my opinion here, this was a game changer for me. Now, I do have the M18 high torque, courtesy of Justin Dow. I do have that, and that gun is on a whole nother level. I'm talking, that's a professional level. I'm talking about DIY level, and I think this is a great gun to have. This is going to be able to do everything else you need it to do. If it doesn't come off with this, you need to get yourself a breaker bar or a 1/2-inch drive ratchet and put some stank on it, because more times than not, this is going to be the gun that's going to take care of your problems. It's going to handle your woes. It's going to get everything off. And I've absolutely loved this gun. I use it all the time. It does show some wear. You know, it's not a toolbox queen. It gets used, and I really enjoy it. Obviously, the size of it is great. It can get in behind things. Depending on the vehicle you're working on, it can get behind the calipers, behind the rotors to get things off. I worked on a GMC Canyon about a month ago, and this particular gun was a lifesaver because it was able to really get behind some tight places to get off the rotors. And that truck setup is horrible for removing rotors in the Midwest. But this gun did a great job at handling that and tackling that job. So between these two here, life is great. Now, if you're going to be working underneath the hood or on top of the engine, something like this little 1/4 inch drive hex, you get yourself some of those hex bits that will allow you to convert this to a quarter or 3/8 or even a 1/2 inch drive. I wouldn't do a 1/2 inch drive on something like this. That seems kind of senseless, but especially if you already have the M12 stubby. But 1/4 inch and 3/8 drive, this is great. And this is new. You can tell it's new. I haven't used it a lot. But I compare this to like my Porter cable. I do have a Porter cable, and I use the absolute dog crap out of that Porter cable. Same 1/4 inch drive hex. Has more power than the Porter cable does. So that's why I'm saying this is a great gun. But once again, the size, the profile of it, the battery, etc. This is a great gun to have, and this will take care of removing valve cover bolts and things of that nature on top of the engine that you don't need a lot of power. You don't necessarily want a lot of power because you don't want things getting stripped or rounded off or broken in that process. So a gun like this will take care of you. And I think this one here is like $130 some at Home Depot, which is not a bad investment. So you stick with the Milwaukee. One of the big things is about Milwaukee, if you stick with their setup, you can use all your batteries. You get your chargers, hopefully you get a deal where it comes with the charger, comes with the batteries, and then you can just start building it up. As you guys see here, I've got Milwaukee batteries here, I got them here, I got one hanging there, I got one up, no, that's Snap-on. I think I got one somewhere else. Like I said, I think I misplaced one. So I don't need batteries. And if ever I want to jump up to an 8 amp or a 12 amp, I can do that, which is probably what I'm going to do for my 1/2 inch drive, my M18 high torque. Probably going to put a 12 ampere on that big boy. But that's one of the benefits of the Milwaukee system. Now, if you're like me, you says, well, I want to try it out. Like for me, I wanted to get a CT761. Now I say that I'm blessed. I am a believer in Christ, so I said I was blessed to get this deal. I found this gun here. It's a CT761. This is the CT761A. And I got this for 125 bucks off Facebook Marketplace. Came with 2 batteries and a charger, and it works great. And it's got that rocker switch, which everyone loves, and I think Snap-on has patented. So you're not going to see that. Now, one of the benefits of this gun is obviously how narrow it is. It's expensive. Like I think it's like 400 or something like that off the Snap-on website, maybe more. It's expensive, and this is not the gun that I would suggest that any DIYer go out and grab, unless you can get it like I did for really, really cheap. If you can get it for a quarter or a third of the price of brand new, then I would suggest doing that. But if you can't, and the only way to get it is to buy it at full cost, there's no reason why to do that when Milwaukee makes a great setup. And granted, these guns are designed, the way that the case is designed, the way that it's profiled, is designed for automotive use, right? So Milwaukee's getting there, but you can look at the guns and how the guns are set up and their profile. Milwaukee's still trying to be sexy with their designs, right? And they've got all these little features and profiles and all that kind of stuff, right, to make it look cool and innovative, right? Well, whereas when I look at when I look at the Snap-on, I'm like, man, it looks like a professional gun. It's not overdone, it's not over designed. It's like, I'm here to do work, and that's pretty much it. And I think that's one of the appeals of the CT761, is that it has that professional look. It has that professional feel, that profile, and then obviously the performance is there. So if you can get this one, I would suggest getting one of those. If you were to find a good deal on this, you say, well, do I need this? You don't need that. Do I need the 1/4 inch drive? Man, you probably don't need that either. It would be nice to still have that, the 1/4 inch drive hex one. But this one here is pretty much gonna do that job too. And the thing about this one here is when you power press the paddle shifter here, the button here, paddle switch, it's not all 100% power, so you can kind of meter how much power you want. And that's kind of like a feel thing. You got to get used to that, whereas with one of these here, you're not going to be producing that much power, so you're less likely to damage the fastener. over tightener or whatever your fasteners when you're working with the gun. So that's just my opinion. It's kind of like what I like. I got a lot more stuff. I've got Porter cable. I've got DeWalt 3/8 drive. I've got DeWalt, Kobalt, Milwaukee Snap-on, and Porter cable. I got a lot of guns. I got about 9 or 10 guns in total, but these are the ones that I go to for, excluding this one because I just picked it up, and excluding that one I just picked it up. These two are the ones that I go to most often. If I've got something that's really big or I'm not messing around, it's going to be the M18 high torque, and that guy's going to take care of it. But yeah, I think this is what a DIYer should be looking at, are these brands. These brands here. I'm crossing out the Snap-on. I'm not going to be a fanboy tonight. Crossing out the Snap-on. You should be looking at the Kobalts and the Milwaukees, possibly even a DeWalt. I don't know a whole lot about the DeWalt. I have an older model 3/8 drive one, so I can't speak on that too much. But the Milwaukee stuff, I have the modern stuff, so I can say more about it, as well as the Kobalt. So DIYers, look at the Milwaukee and the Kobalt systems. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. If you can get your hands on one of the CT761s, 761A or newer or whatever it is, don't pay more than a third of the price of a new one. Don't pay more than a third of the price of a new one. They're out there. They're on eBay. They're on Facebook Marketplace. They are out there. So don't tell me you can't find one. If you can't find one, you call me, and then I'll broker a deal and I'll find you one. So yeah, that's my opinion about it, guys. You know, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about that. We can all share our opinions without getting, all butthurt over it. So I think that, like I said, these are great guns for the DIYer. Not speaking to you professional mechanics out there. You guys have your own requirements, your own set of rules that you play by that the DIYers don't necessarily have to adhere to. So you have your own things that you want and reasons and justifications, etc. So just my opinion of what, from a DIY perspective, from someone who is working on vehicles every weekend, and even in some cases after work. So this is my opinion. But all right, guys, I'm gonna call it for the night. I thought I would do that video. Once again, a shout out to Oscar Romero for making the suggestion to do this video. So thank you, Oscar. This one's for you, buddy. So if you guys have other questions or videos you would like to see from the DIY perspective, leave it in the comment section. I will cover it if it makes sense, and kind of share my opinions about it. I am going to, the next upcoming video is going to be, why do I have what I have? Why do I have all of this Snap-on and this Mac and this Matco? Why do I have what I have? Why do I have, I don't know, 15, 20 grand in tools, and I'm a DIYer? I probably got 5 grand in ratchets right there alone. So I know those are questions that I got from various people, and I am going to give you guys a video as to why I have this set up. And I think you guys would be surprised. Maybe some of you guys won't, because you know who I am, you know my channel, you know what I do. But a lot of you guys who are newer to me may not necessarily know that. So we'll provide you with an explanation. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Midwest_tool_review, especially if you want to buy tools from me. That's the place to find me. That's how I communicate. Make sure that you leave a comment. First of all, make sure that you're subscribed. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you leave a comment. I do respond to the comments for the most part. In the event that I'm unable to respond, you may just see a thumbs up or a like by me, but that just let you know that I did read your comments, but maybe I was too busy doing other things. So love you guys. You're the best. Catch you in the next video. Peace.